Hello and welcome to my Tormented Demon guide with Void. And first of all, I'm sorry that this video is out kind of late because my microphone broke this morning, so I had to go get a new one. So this is a new microphone, completely new headset. So please kind of comment on the quality. It was rather expensive, so I hope it's good quality. And yeah, so please tell me how good it is. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. First of all, I'm just going to go over very briefly how to get. I'm assuming you kind of know since you had to do it during the quest, but basically you want to go from the Lumberjack Castle cellar through that hole, kind of around, through another hole, down south into the Chasm of Tears. Use your Sapphire Lantern on one of the creatures, and you'll be taken down into the lower part, and then you just kind of run east into the Tormented Demon area. Luring is by far the most complicated part of fighting Tormented Demons. Basically, there's 6 roaming around the room. Usually if you're staying on the north side, you're only going to be fighting 3. So it's usually not too big of an issue. If you ever end up with 4 on you, you're in trouble. You might want to just switch worlds. But if you're just going to be fighting 3, basically you want to get into one of 3 spots. So basically, there's the far western spot that you can get them into. Then there's the kind of the middle spot, and you actually can get 2 into the middle spot. But if you only put 2 in the middle spot if you want to have only 1 to kill. If you want 2 to kill, then you really need to get them in the 3 different spots. And then there's 1 in the far eastern spot. And that's kind of the basics of it. And you're just watching a few lures that I did that kind of make it work out. And that's pretty much the basics. And here's another one where basically I'm just going out and I get the 2 in the middle spot this time. And basically, you can't kill either one now that's in the middle just because you'll probably take too much damage. But you can kill just the one on the far east, and you'll be fine killing that one all the time. And so that's kind of how I just did it on this particular kill. Since I'm specifically talking about Void, for the gear, you need 4 pieces of Void armor, including the helmet, and then the rest is up to you. Personally, I like the top, bottom, and then the deflector. If you're going to be using a 2-handed weapon like a maul, then you probably want to go with the gloves instead, and then have a item that boosts whatever the second attack style you're using. So if you're using mage, for example, then I would advise having like a mage's book or something like that. But anyway, back to the gear is the helm's basically pretty much required. For cape, a fire cape works great, and Hourdone cape 3 or 4. Especially if you're going to be using rapier, that works really well. A Soul Wars cape for the prayer bonus, or just really any cape you feel comfortable with. Then an Amulet of Fury. Amulet of Glory works fine there. If you're going to be using mage, I really recommend a Polypore staff. And I do recommend, by the way, using mage. You can use range as well, but I prefer mage overall. And I think a Polypore staff is just better. Or if another option for mage would be a Arma Battle Staff and the Arma Storm spell. I already talked a bit about the Void, and then if you're going to be using a deflector, I really recommend Barrow's Gloves, or you can also use Goliath Gloves or something like that. Dragon Boots, you could use a mage boosting boot, but I think Dragon Boots are actually better, or of course Steadfast Boots work great. And an Onyx Ring Imbued, a Berserker Ring Imbued. An Onyx Ring Imbued is probably a little bit better, but I don't have it anymore. And other things like a Dragonstone Ring Imbued, just normal Berserker Ring, or just a Ring of Wealth or something like that. All of those work very well. Then in your inventory, you want the other helmet. So I usually go with Mage since they pray melee first. So have the melee helmet in your inventory with a Chaotic Longsword. Chaotic Rapier works, as I said, Chaotic Maul. Then a few other not so great options, but possible, would be something like a Karazi Sword, a Whip. If you don't have a Whip, basic Whip, I mean, if you don't even have that, then I wouldn't even advise going to these. You do need a Dark Light, that's required. A Karazi Sword, that's for spec weapon. Other good spec weapons would be like Dragon Claws. If you're going to use Dragon Claws, also it'd be good to use them all and just have the Void Knight Gloves. That way, when you switch, you still have the 4 item boost. And even like a Dragon Dagger Super is good. But something very good if you're using overloads would be an Enhanced Excalibur. And that is a very practical option. And especially if you have the second one, heals quite a bit and pretty much heals the entire overload. You need a Sapphire Lantern. It's also a very good idea to have one in your bank in case you die. Just basically have 2 total, or more even. I really recommend having at least a Titan, so that requires 79, and so you want the Titan and then the scrolls to heal. Unicorn's obviously a lot better. If you're going to be using a Titan, I really recommend having the Enhanced Excalibur, just because you're going to be taking a lot more damage and your Titan won't be able to heal it back. Then obviously overloads, if you just have extremes, you can use those. They're not quite as good, but they will work. I like a teleport out just in case. Then I have a super restore and 2 brews, just in case I get a lot of damage pretty quickly and my unicorn won't heal it. Then a few prayer renewals and then just prayer potions. This setup only lasts me about 50 minutes or so, but I find that's plenty of time, really. I mean, it only takes like 5 minutes to get back, and usually I don't want to be there for hours and hours anyway, so that's why I do it this way. And you can obviously bring more prayer potions and more overloads, but it's really up to you on how you do it. This is a very complicated part about Tormented Demon, so I'll try to explain it. So basically, the Tormented Demon has prayers, and its prayers are not like the Calphite Queen's where it's just a really high resistance. It's a complete prayer where you will not damage it with that attack style. So the Tormented Demon switches its prayers after taking 300 damage in one attack style. Now the damage is not capped at 310. For example, if you hit 550, it will still hit a 550, but then it will just switch to whatever the next prayer is, or whatever that attack style was. So if I hit a 550 with my Chaotic Longsword, it'll switch to Praying Protect from melee. Or if I hit like a 400 with a Polypore Staff, it'll switch to Praying Protect from mage. And it's cumulative, so if I hit like 160 and then another 160, then it switches to that attack style. It also switches attack styles based on what you are praying. So if you're praying mage, and it's basically you can be praying mage while it's praying mage, but after a little while it will switch. And because of this, it may be dangerous. Its mage and range attack are its primary 2 dangerous attacks. Its melee attack is still pretty powerful, but it's not quite as dangerous. So basically, if it was on mage, and you're obviously praying mage, then you want to switch to protect from range once it rears back and roars. And I'll explain that in a second. But if it's on range, then you want to switch to mage. And if it's on melee, I like switching to mage, since when it rears back and roars, then it also has an extra magic attack that goes out, and it's an area of effect magic attack. So keep that in mind, that those are the 3 basic ways that you want to prayer switch. And just make sure that you do that, because its range and mage attack can hit into 200s pretty consistently. Its melee attack tends to be in the 100s consistently, so that's how I would do it, and that's how I almost always do it if I'm switching prayers. This is an attack, but it is its main defense. Basically, it has this fire shield that goes around it, and the only way to disable it is hitting the Tormented Demon with Dark Light, and you actually have to do damage with Dark Light. And as you can see, when it first spawns, it's Praying Protect from melee, so Dark Light won't actually hit it. So you have to get it off the thing, and basically you can do a little bit of damage, but it's capped at less than 100. And so you have to do a little bit of damage with another attack style, hit it with Dark Light, and then you can go use whatever attack style you want. Now, I mentioned earlier that it kind of rears back and roars every now and then, and basically this is what it does. Now, that means it's doing one of several things. First, it could be switching attack styles, and that's usually what it is. And when it rears back and roars, it also launches an area of effect magic attack, and it switches attack styles, so that's when you want to do the prayer switching. Another thing it might be doing is it might be reactivating its fire shield. When you hit it with Dark Light, the shield's only down for 1 minute. So usually I actually do a little bit of extra in the middle of the kill, hit it again with Dark Light, so the fire shield doesn't come back for the rest of the kill. And that's usually how I do it. This is its major attack, kind of as like a headbutt type thing. And then you can kind of see it there where there's like that kind of orange flaming thing that's kind of sticking out of my head, and that's basically the magic attack. And when it spawns, this is the attack it uses first, and it can switch pretty quickly afterwards, so don't guarantee it that, but that's usually what that's what it is always using first. And basically, it's one of its more dangerous attacks. It can hit pretty close to 300. I think it's about that, maybe a little over 300. I haven't really seen that often though, so usually in the 200s is very consistent though. And so you really do have to be careful of this attack. You can deal a lot of damage pretty quickly, and if you have several on you, you might get killed pretty quickly. One of its other main attacks is a melee attack. It does a swipe thing. It's not its most dangerous attack, so you really don't have to worry about it too much. A lot of high level players will actually just soul split against this attack. I don't recommend that method because I personally take a lot more damage, but if you are just soul splitting, then it won't switch off melee, so that's kind of the advantage of it. But then again, you are going to be taking a little bit more damage possibly, and if you're not soul splitting fast enough, then you might end up losing health instead of gaining health. But that's its least dangerous attack that it uses, so just keep that in mind. Its other main attack is a range attack. Basically, it's kind of the spike. It raises its left arm and kind of just throws a spike at you. Sometimes you won't see the arm go up, but you will see like the spike in the air right there. And basically just switch to protect from range. Its other pretty dangerous attack can hit well into the 200s pretty consistently. So, and especially with void armor, that's not that high range defense. So definitely switch to protect from range once you see this attack. This attack is its area of effect magic attack. Basically, does this whenever it rears back and roars, and it will rear back and roar even if you're praying soul split while it's attacking with melee. It won't switch off melee, but it will still rear back and roar and attack you with a area of effect magic attack. This is the reason that if you're standing behind the rock, you should still have protect from magic on, just in case one of the other demons fires an area of effect magic attack and hits you. And as I said, it can hit into the 200s and possibly into the 300s occasionally. So you do have to be careful about this attack. And it's also the reason if it was attacking with melee and it switches off, you want to switch to protect from mage. So this is just kind of a full kill. Basically, I start on the far eastern side. Once it spawns, then I kind of run back behind this rock to lure it. And then once it's there, I run over here, and that kind of lures it into pretty much the perfect place, if you ask me. And then you just kind of run out. Now it started attack with melee pretty quickly there, as you can see. And then I switched to protect from melee. And you have to do enough damage with the polypore staff to get it off praying protect from melee, and then hit it with dark light. And basically my dark light hit rather high, so then I have to wait again before I can use my special. I believe I used my special. There it is. And that special, it got it high enough that switched right back to protect from mage, which means I could hit it right away with my chaotic longsword again. So this was a pretty good kill for me overall. And you do have to do a lot of purse switching. I usually switch between turmoil and leech magic and stuff, so you have to switch back and forth pretty often, but in general, this is just kind of the general strategy for a kill. In the middle of the kill, I'm pretty sure I think I use dark light again just to make sure that it doesn't turn its fire shield back on, because if it turns its fire shield back on, that really lengthens the kill, makes it really annoying. And I didn't get claws on the short trip I did, but that's one of the big possibilities that you can get, and that's kind of why people go there. Well, thanks for watching. I do hope it helped, and good luck getting on a pair of claws. And on Tuesday, I'm hoping Jagex releases some new update, or at least behind the scenes, and so I'll talk about the new update, or if not, then I'll just talk about the behind the scenes. And then Thursday, a new achievement diary, and Saturday, I will get out a Slayer diary, hopefully, and then just more videos after that. And so please subscribe for those, and rate and comment on this video.